Paltrocast.
Thank you for taking the time. Good morning. How's your day going so far?
I'm good here in Miami. Just came yesterday from, I've just finished a US tour. It was
Right.
15 days, and now I'm home for 2 days and going to Brazil.
Wow. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, you were here in New York, um, going to Brazil, etc. How much touring is booked for you in the near future?
I'm still going this week to Brazil for the 4 shows there, and then I need to go to Europe, and basically I will be there until December 12th. So
Wow.
a lot, yeah.
So that's to promote the Cora Way album. How much of Cora Way are you playing live at these concerts?
I mean, some of the songs I usually like also to keep, playing music that I grew up back in Cuba. And through the years, I feel like people are also always ask me for certain songs that I have, composed. And usually I like to incorporate them in the show, but definitely playing some new music from Caraway.
Right. Well, Cora Way is another album for the Mac Avenue record label. When you signed with Mac Avenue about 15 years ago, did you know that it was going to be a long-term relationship?
No, I didn't actually. No. Well, that's almost, yeah, it's very difficult to, to predict what's going to happen with our lives. I'm very grateful and thankful that we have had so many years together, and McAvenue has been very supportive to my opinion, to my career, to my music. And I just feel very honored to have a team that we all push for the same and, working on bringing music to the world.
Right. How long did you spend recording and developing Cora Way?
Well, I mean, the process that was longer, which actually was actually very long, it was the composing, and not only because I wanted to do it like that. Always is very different. The process
Mhm.
of composing for me, it was because I was isolated by like anyone by COVID.
Right.
I found myself in Miami, moving from Los Angeles. I was living almost 13 years in Los Angeles. And then I moved here, and COVID came to the world. And I wasn't able to play anymore for 1 year and 6 months. So I found myself just composing a lot of music, being at home, basically walking the streets of Miami.
Mhm.
The street that where I live, the name is Way. That's why the album is named Way.
Right.
So basically, that was the composing process for a long time. And then, to be honest, the recording process and everything else was very easy. I play with musicians that for a long time I love them, and they always, they really get the ideas very quickly. And we went to the studio and recorded like in 2 3 days the whole album, and then yeah, everything came out very easily.
Did you spend a lot of time in Miami before you moved there?
No, actually, no. I just um in and out because my family is in Miami. So I would come to Miami like 2 or 3 times each year for a few days just to visit my family, and that's it. I was again as today just traveling the world, and as I mentioned before, living in Los Angeles. So yeah, it's not that close. Los Angeles is like 6 hours to
Right, right.
get.
The last time I was in Miami was 1 or 2 months before COVID, and the city was very excited that David Beckham was moving there, that they were building that train monorail thing and all that. What's Miami like at the moment? Although I know you're always on tour, but
Well, I mean, if you think people were excited when David Beckham was here, imagine now that it's Messi here. So now Messi plays in Miami, and that's crazy. Everyone, I mean, no. I think Miami has been growing up in so many aspects, including music.
Mhm.
I have many great musicians friends that they have come here to start a new life. I think one of the reasons is because Miami is a warm temperature place, and some people like it, and some people like the vibe of the city. The city is growing up, as I mentioned before, in so many aspects, and people like that. It's a really welcoming city for for a lot of people. It's also very well located.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like I always say that Miami is like the capital of Latin America. So if you
Yeah.
if you are in a way like related to Latinos, Miami is a really good place to be. And musically, also the Latin music is very powerful here in Miami. So, but those weren't, to be honest, the as I mentioned before, the most important thing for me was being closer to my family, and I became a dad. So I have a daughter of 4 years old, and that was
Mhm.
why I wanted to come here. I wanted my daughter to grow up with their grandparents, her uncle, and us being closer for me was very important. So yeah,
Well, one more Miami question, then back to you. Have
anything.
you ever seen Iggy Pop walking around Miami?
What?
Well, I heard that the singer Iggy Pop lives in Miami, and he's
No,
usually easy to spot because he doesn't wear a shirt very much.
I haven't. I don't even know who is.
He was an early David Bowie collaborator who helped invent punk rock.
Okay.
Look up Iggy Pop later, and you'll be very amused.
I
Anyway,
will. I will.
um, back to you. Was piano your first instrument?
It was my first instrument. It wasn't my what I wanted at the beginning. I wanted to be a drummer. That was what I wanted. My dad is a very famous singer in Cuba, so I grew up listening to his music and going to his rehearsals. And while I was at the rehearsal, the only thing I remember is just being on the side of the drummer and the percussionist, always trying to imitate their move with a pencil or a pillow or anything that I could find. And then my parents brought me to the School of Music, and I had to decide between piano and violin because in Cuba they are called the long careers. And then in order to be a drummer, you have to be 10 years old, so you have to go older. And I was 6, 7 years old, so I just decided to go with the piano, and having in mind that I was going to change when I was 10, but I fall in love with the sound of the piano. I didn't want to change anymore. So
Hmm.
yeah, and since that, I always being just a pianist. I love all instruments, and to be honest, I listen to many more music from other instruments and other influences than piano lately. But the piano is my only tool. It's the only one that I really feel like I can do whatever I want. In the other ones, I play with them and whatever, but I don't consider myself a bassist or a drummer or anything. It's just a pianist. It's more than enough, huh?
Right. Has jazz always been your favorite genre of music?
Not really. I don't even have like one favorite genre of music. I love jazz because the improvisation character that has the music, and I love to improvise. I do really consider myself as an improviser. But when it comes to just call it for one genre, I wouldn't say I'm just a jazz pianist or a Cuban pianist or a classical pianist. I grew up playing only classical music until I was 12 years old. Then I discovered jazz, and since that, I've been improvising every day. And obviously, Cuban music is in my blood. And I've met through the years now living in the States, which I've been living in very multicultural cities. I have lived a big process of transculturation, meeting many people,
Hmm.
and then incorporating their culture into who I am as a person and also as a musician. So I've been discovering and listening and learning a lot from many folk music from the whole world, and I've been collaborating with more than 40 different countries artists. So I don't really know if I just prefer to be called a musician, to be honest.
So we've established that you're very busy touring at the moment, where you're traveling in about 2 days to Brazil, and then you're going to Europe and etc. When you're not busy with music, your career, and you're not busy with family, what's the next best hobby? Are you a sports fan?
I like sports. Well, as I was mentioning before, I like football, soccer. I mean, you were mentioning David Beckham, and I was telling you that Messi is here.
Messi, yeah.
I've been playing for since I was a kid, and lately I don't play that much because touring, as you mentioned, and all of those things, and my daughter and everything. I don't really have time, to be honest, when I come back to my home. But I love sports since I was a kid. Yeah, and many other things. To be honest, I had like a very easy and simple childhood. Only I knew that I had to dedicate certain time of my day to just to play music. And we have to, we have to be disciplined, and you have to be, at least for me, it was like that. I wanted to play the piano
Hmm.
more than doing other things sometimes. But at the same time, I was like, as I said, like a normal kid, like going out on the streets in
Hmm.
Cuba and just playing with my friends, and yeah, like a normal life. I think it's very important to, as much as you incorporate into your personality, into who you are, that will flourish in whatever you do in life. And if you are an artist, it's very important to inform yourself about many other things, not only your craft. And I feel like music is not coming from music. Music comes from your experiences. Everything that you live every day in your life is going to be translated into your music. So if you really don't have like many things to say as a human being, I think your music is gonna lack of a lot of things. So
Oh, good point. Well, two more questions and then I'll let you go. And the
okay.
first one is, you mentioned writing a lot of music during COVID-19, but this new album is only a single disc. So does that mean that we might get another album within the next 2 years from you?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I always, well, to be honest with you, I have music to record like 7 more albums right now. I'm always in a constant compositions. My compositions comes from improvising. So I sit in the piano, even like sound check situation. I just sit in the piano and I start creating something, and then I record it on my phone. So I have my phone full of voice memos, like creating rhythms or melodies or harmonies or something that I play the piano I like. And later they sometimes become songs. Sometimes they just stay there in the air, which is beautiful as well. But I mean, I have a lot of music and a lot of projects and a lot of things in mind that definitely next year I will go to the studio again and we'll figure it out.
Great. And my last question, this might be tough, but what's the last concert or live performance that you attended as a fan? Not because you were going to come up on stage, not because you were going to work with the artist, but you went to for fun because you went, hey, I'd like to see them live.
Well, I mean, I go to a lot of concerts. Why? Because I tour a lot, and since we are touring, we're playing a lot of jazz festivals. We're playing a lot of places that other friends are playing. What I can mention, I remember a show. It wasn't that recent. It was like like couple of months ago, that I went to a beautiful singer from Spain, Silvia Perez Cruz. I saw her show, and I got very captivated by her music. It was something very beautiful, and yeah, that was one of the last experience that I remember, just going to a show, like sitting down and then watch the whole experience. And that was a beautiful show.
Good answer. Well, Alfredo, thank you for the many years of great music. Looking forward to your next album, which thankfully is coming very soon, and looking forward to your next gig in New York. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this chat with me. And I hope to see you next time in New York. Much love.
Paltrocast.